Welcome to Wallace and Wire. Today we're talking about Hamzah Zainudin's nuanced position on the prime minister role. So we're looking at the latest from, well, a very prominent political figure right now, the current opposition leader, Hamzah Zainudin. He's finally addressed that million ringgit question everyone's been asking, has he? Does he actually want the top job? And his answer, well, it's classic political chess, you could say. Ready to serve? Yes, but definitely not demanding it.
Yeah, what's really fascinating here, I think, is just how carefully positioned that statement is. It's framed entirely around capability, around duty. It's not just naked ambition.
Right.
And the timing, it comes at a really critical point looking at the current government's mandate, setting his own narrative almost.
Absolutely. Let's get specific.
Yeah.
When they asked him directly, do you want to be prime minister? He gave that, well, that very standard politician's answer, didn't he? I won't say I want to be prime minister. Classic restraint.
It is, but you can't just stop reading there. That's only half the picture, because he immediately follows it up with the crucial part. If the opportunity is there, I will give my all.
Oh, okay.
So, look, this isn't really reluctance. It's more like political readiness presented as duty. He's even brought up his history, saying he wasn't keen on politics initially.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, and that he only really committed once he was given a post. So it frames any potential leadership bid as, I'm doing this because I have to serve, not because I desperately want the power.
It's clever. It definitely shields him from attacks about being power hungry.
Yeah.
But, does emphasizing duty like that resonate more strongly with people? Or does it risk looking a bit passive compared to someone who's clearly, fighting for it?
That's a really good question. I think it depends who you're trying to reach. Sometimes, maybe when people want big changes, they want that fighter, the outright ambitious leader. But maybe when the political mood is more fatigued or people are looking for stability, that man of duty narrative can be incredibly effective. It plays well with a certain segment.
So it's not just for the voters on the street. It's also a message to, say, potential coalition partners, the gatekeepers.
Exactly. It shifts the focus. It's not about his ego. It's framed as a potential responsibility.
It makes him seem like perhaps a less confrontational choice, someone who could emerge through consensus, maybe.
Precisely. It opens the goal for him to rise via invitation, almost, rather than having to bulldoze his way through. In a multi-party system like Malaysia's, that can be a very useful position to cultivate.
Okay, speaking of that multi-party structure, let's talk about his party, Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, and the bigger picture. He's the deputy president. So, naturally, the question came up about the party chairman, Muhyiddin Yassin. Is Muhyiddin still the candidate for PM?
And this is where you see the careful dance of coalition politics. Hamzah drew a very clear line here. He confirmed, yes, Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia Bersatu, they have already announced Muhyiddin as their pick. That's the internal party decision.
Right, Bersatu's choice. But that's not the final word for the entire opposition coalition, is it?
Absolutely not. And Hamzah was very specific about this. He pointed out that the larger coalition, the National Alliance, has not yet finalized its decision on who their collective PM candidate will be. That distinction, that's the wiggle room, that's the strategic space. Bersatu has stated its preference, sure, but the National Alliance as a whole, that negotiation is still ongoing.
And that really underscores the internal bargaining, doesn't it? It shows Bersatu is influential, obviously, but they can't just dictate terms to the whole coalition. The top job to the National Alliance is still technically up for grabs.
It gives them flexibility. If circumstances change, if political winds shift, they haven't locked themselves in too early. By keeping the National Alliance selection open, they can, in theory, present whoever seems most viable, most unifying when the time actually comes, whether that ends up being Muhyiddin or, well, someone else.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit from coalition strategy to identity politics. Hamzah also pushed back against perceptions, didn't he? Tackling the racist label head on.
He did. And he went back to his life before politics to do it. He specifically brought up his time as a businessman.
Right, what was the point there?
He emphasized that his business partners weren't just Malays. He made it a point to say he worked closely with Chinese and Indian partners too. The implication being, look, my real-world experience is inclusive, so my politics reflect that.
And he connected that personal history to the structure of Bersatu itself, arguing the party is actually inclusive despite, its origins.
Yes, he walked through that evolution. He acknowledged, okay, yes, the party started with a strong focus on Bumiputera and Malays, that's the history, but then he highlighted the change opening up membership to non-Bumiputera citizens.
And that structural change is key to their argument about being inclusive now. What was the detail he offered? What's the limit for non-Bumiputera members?
He gave a specific benchmark. Non-Bumiputera members can contest and hold party positions right up to the level of deputy president.
Deputy president. Why emphasize that particular level, not just, say, division heads or something lower?
Because the deputy president role isn't symbolic. It's usually right at the heart of party strategy and decision-making. Setting the ceiling there suggests, well, more than just token inclusion. It signals access to real influence within the party structure.
Okay, I see. So it's about demonstrating substantive power-sharing potential within the party.
Exactly. It makes their inclusivity claim seem more concrete. It's a detail aimed at reassuring potential non-Bumiputera supporters or partners.
Which brings us nicely to the next battleground, the Sabah state elections coming up. Hamzah was pretty emphatic that the situation in Sabah now is, well, totally different from the past.
Sabah is almost like a concentrated version of the demographic shifts happening everywhere. He dropped a pretty startling statistic. Young voters, apparently they now make up nearly half the electorate in Sabah.
Half? Wow. That changes everything.
It completely changes the game. The old ways of campaigning, the old loyalties, they might not work anymore. He's saying the mindset of the average Sabah voter is just fundamentally different now.
So if almost 50% of your target audience is young, how does that change the National Alliance's strategy on the ground there? What's the plan?
Well, they know they can't just rely on the same old faces or traditional appeals. The strategy now, he says, is to field young, capable candidates. People who can actually connect with this younger demographic on their own terms.
And what are those terms? What do younger candidates need to focus on specifically?
It's likely less about the old narratives and more about, well, practical things. Economic opportunities, definitely. Digital infrastructure, job creation, maybe cutting red tape for young entrepreneurs. State autonomy issues are always big in Sabah, too. They need candidates who get these pressures.
Makes sense. And finally, he also used the Sabah situation to talk about Bersadu's own resilience, didn't he? Especially after that big split.
Yes, he framed that whole episode when the chief minister, Hajiji Noor, and others left Bersatu back in November 2022 as a test they passed. He pointed out that many people predicted the party would just, collapse in Sabah after that.
But it didn't, according to him.
Quite the opposite, he argues. He stressed that they managed to regroup quickly and reestablish party divisions in every single constituency.
Okay.
The message there is clear. We have resilience, we have a ground game, we can weather storms. That's a crucial message for voters anywhere, but especially in a place like Sabah heading into an election. It's about projecting stability and capability.
So pulling all this together, Hamzah Zainudin is painting a picture of himself as, well, ready for the top job, but framing it as service. He's managing those tricky coalition dynamics by keeping the National Alliance's options open and, at the same time, adapting strategy for that huge youth vote in Sabah. It's quite the balancing act.
It really is. And it leaves us with a pretty interesting question to think about, doesn't it? In today's Malaysian political climate, which seems to swing between wanting change and wanting stability, what's actually the better strategy for someone eyeing the leadership? Is it better to play the long game, wait for the opportunity, frame it as duty, like Hamzah seems to be doing? Or do you really need to be out there, actively campaigning, showing undeniable ambition to win over the people? Something to consider.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.